everybody, it's Kate McGibbon here from Secret Bloggers Business, and today I have a very special treat for you. Today I'm actually joined by Denise Duffield from luckybitch.com. Now Denise is a best-selling author of 2 books, Lucky Bitch and Get Rich Lucky Bitch, and she also is the brains behind the brilliant online course Lucky Bitch Money Bootcamp. Now, Denise is a success and money mindset mentor for women, and myself personally, I've worked with Denise a couple of times. I've done her course, I did it about 2 years ago, and it was one of those real turning points for me and my business. Denise's, what she teaches is she helps entrepreneurs, and this really applies to bloggers, I think, to figure out what their money blocks are. So figure out what are those things, the little money stories in the back of your head that you're telling yourself about why you can't go to that next level. So whether it's because you're worried people are going to think that you're greedy, or whether you think people don't like rich people, or rich people are mean, or whatever it is, there's often these little stories in the back of our head that we're telling ourselves, and those things make us sort of self-sabotage ourselves. So it stops you from putting yourself out there, it stops you from charging for things that you should be charging for, and it can really just kind of it's you getting in your own way, basically. So today we're going to have a chat with Denise about not just money blocks, we're going to cover that too, but also about how she's built up a really, really successful business using blogging. So now, if everyone can just welcome Denise, and let's get started. Alrighty, well, welcome Denise. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me today. So I wanted to start off, just for everyone who maybe isn't as familiar with luckybitch.com as I am, if you could give us a little bit of an overview of what Lucky Bitch is all about and sort of how you got started with that.
Sure. So I started blogging about personal development about 5 years ago, and I really started out very generic. I kind of started talking about the law of attraction, about setting goals, about doing dream boards, things like that. And what I realized is that women kept on coming to me for money, that they were, from the outside, you think, well, they were intelligent, they were ambitious, they had a great business idea, but there was just something that was stopping them from receiving income and receiving money, and they somehow sabotaged their success all the time, and it all came down to this money mindset. So I started just teaching just a few of my private clients some of the stuff that I was learning about money, and it was just became so popular that I realized that that's where I wanted to serve. I wanted to serve and help women who are struggling with money blocks and who want to create a first-class life and business, but there's just something holding them back. So now Lucky Bitch is really about helping women release money blocks.
Awesome. So you started broad, which I think is something a lot of bloggers do, and then you kind of niched down because that's what people were that was what the demand was, basically.
It was, and I did go incredibly broad, and even on my homepage I had 6 different categories, and it was career, love, health, business, money, and spirituality. I think I covered everything. And what I noticed was that some topics didn't excite me. I could write 2 articles about manifesting your soulmate, but that was it. That was all I could do. And so I think sometimes it naturally refines down. You can't decide that in a vacuum. I think it's good if just to start, even if you're super broad and super generic and you're not quite sure, it's better to start and refine than to come up with it and it be perfect from the start.
Yeah, exactly. And this is completely off the questions I sent you, but when you did that, did you do a bit of a rebrand and stuff when you kind of figured out that was the niche you wanted to go for, or were you already luckybitch.com?
No, I blogged under my own name. So
Okay.
My website at the time was DeniseDuffieldThomas.com, and I wanted to write a book called Lucky Bitch, and I honestly really had some blocks around it too, because I thought, what are people going to think of me? People aren't going to like it. It felt suddenly me, and I was trying to be a bit too generic, a bit too for everyone. So when I did that rebrand, which was about 2 years after I started, I bought the new domain, I changed everything over to Lucky Bitch, and that's when I started really thinking, okay, it's going to be just about business and money success. And I kind of deleted all those other things off the blog when I migrated it over.
Awesome. Cool. The next question I had for you is, and I already know the answer to this one, Is this your first online business?
No. So my very first online anything was a book about dating, actually, internet dating for men. And it was just called Internet Dating Tips for Men. It was not a sexy title in any way. And it was an ebook that I created. It must have been about, I would say 2003, 2004.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my very first online anything. And I was kind of hooked, but I knew that that wasn't the topic for me forever. So the next one that I did was about raw food. I created a raw food blog. I also created a movie review blog, which was very short-lived. And then my first real kind of blogging business was called Raw Brides. And it was taking the stuff that I knew from the raw food world, and I was getting married at the time. I smashed them together in a kind of a weird way and created this business out of my blog. So I was selling coaching services and ebooks. And it wasn't, to be honest, it wasn't very successful, mainly because raw food wasn't really an area of expertise for me. It was an interest. And getting married was just a life stage that I was in. It wasn't an ongoing passion around weddings. So it kind of died out after I got married, and I was kind of like, I never want to talk about weddings ever again. So it's okay to have a practice business, but I think what it really taught me was the value of blogging as a marketing tool and the consistency that you need. You know, there is a big learning curve when you start a blog, the technical stuff, but also learning to be consistent and producing consistent content. So I think every practice business is a really good learning opportunity and, gets you one step closer. Because when I started my Denise Duffield Thomas blog, I knew what to do. I wasn't having that big learning curve. I could just go ahead and just get on to creating content.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's a kind of perfect segue into the blogging stuff, actually. So you obviously have a very defined blogging plan and schedule for luckybitch.com. How did you sort of come to arrive at doing your videos once a week? Was it like a natural thing, or tell me a bit more about sort of that?
I think trial and error, and I wasn't very organised at the start, I have to admit, and I knew I had that consistency. I wanted to put out a blog once a week, but I was kind of airy-fairy about when. Like sometimes it would be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It was kind of sometimes every 7 days, sometimes every 10. And it wasn't defined. And I actually did that blog the day that it was due. So I'd think, okay, it sounds weird now because I so don't do that now, but that's cool if that's where you're at. So Thursdays I'd be like, what am I going to blog about this week? What am I going to write about? And I would be finishing the article like minutes before I would send it out to my peeps. So there wasn't a lot of thought behind it. And then I started just getting a little bit smarter with it. So I started really defining what my blogs should be about. So I knew that each time I blogged, I wanted it to be about money or business. I wanted it to be for a female entrepreneurial audience. And I wanted it to be kind of fun, entertaining, some sort of funny element to it. Once I had that framework, it was really easy then to create more content, and I could start creating it in advance. So I started to ask my audience, what do you want to know? What would you like to learn from me? And then I had a massive list that I could go to whenever I wanted to create something. I could go direct to that list and I wouldn't have to come up with ideas. And then I took it one step further where I started doing video blogs instead of written blogs. And I would start to record them in batches. So I might do 4 at a time, or I started now, I do about 10 at a time. And then that kind of lasts me for the whole quarter. And the way I do that too is, again, I ask for people's feedback and advice. And I kind of just map them all out. And so I know now 6 months in advance what I'm blogging about. So, but I didn't start there.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't start there.
That's amazing. And have you found that what sort of difference has it made to your business now that you've kind of got this plan and you're doing things regularly and you're batching and you've kind of freed up that extra time?
Oh my God, it's so much easier to know in advance. It means that I'm not feeling rushed or busy, and things would easily derail me if I, for example, lost internet or something unexpected came up. Because I was doing it all last minute, it meant that blog wouldn't go out that week. now I can kind of future-proof it. So we recently had a big blackout for 5 days.
Yeah.
But it was cool because it was already done. I didn't have to worry about that. I had a baby last year, and batching all that in advance meant that my audience was still engaged. My audience still got blogging content every single week, but I wasn't having to do it at the same time, changing an appy and trying to blog at the same time. So I think it's just given my audience certainty. They know that at 7, 8 o'clock on a Thursday morning, depending on what time zone they're in, they will get my newsletter and my new blog. That's certain for them. They can feel good that they know what to expect from me, basically. They know that if they refer a friend to my blog, it's going to be on similar topics every single week. So it's really given a sense of safety and certainty to my audience and consistency. For me personally, it's really given me just that calmness that comes when you're not doing everything last minute. And I don't have to stress myself out, basically. So it's given me a lot of security and just, I think, calmness that's come from that.
That's awesome. So now I want to go back to the start just a little bit, just when you were sort of like getting started with luckybitch.com. How long did it take you to get sort of notice you were getting traction and that your readership was building when you sort of first started?
I actually took along some of my Royal Brides people because I just sent them a message and said, guys, I'm not going to be blogging about weddings anymore. I'm going to be blogging exclusively about personal development. So that was where I transitioned to DeniseDuffieldThomas.com. And, some of them unsubscribed and some of them are still with me today, very few of them. And I would say, I tracked my subscribers and my unique visitors every single month, and they've just grown steadily. I don't think I've ever had any massive big blips, except if I maybe did an interview with somebody, or I did a guest blog post on Chris Carr's blog, for example, and that got me a whole bunch of new subscribers. But for me, it's just kind of increased over time, and I think that's where a lot of bloggers give up too early, because they don't see the results from one blog post.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's not just one blog post, because some blogs that you think will be really popular are not, and other ones that you kind of throw together, people love. And it's that consistency that builds momentum.
Yeah, definitely. And so you said you did some guest blogging, but was there any other sort of tactics you used when you were getting started to sort of get new readers and get in front of new people?
Yeah, I actually started doing some live webinars when I was first starting, because, and you know what, nobody turned up to them. To be really honest, had no people on my first 2 webinars, not a single person. But it gave me the chance to practice and to refine my message, and it gave me then an audio that I could give away to my readers. I could give away as a free opt-in, and it was really useful, and I still give out some of those audios today, even though, nobody came to them live. Doing those things does give you a bit of an increase, because people want to share it with their friends. It gives them something to sign up for. It gives them an action to take. So I really do recommend live webinars as a really good way to start out. And I actually don't do them anymore. And I'm thinking that it's probably about time to do them, because they do work so well in driving engagement and attracting new people to your blog.
Awesome. I think that's probably something that not many bloggers, particularly in my blogging course, because there's a lot of fashion and beauty and things, I think webinars is such a kind of scary thing for someone who's never done that before and isn't sort of in the online business space, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think every topic could work brilliantly as a webinar. So that's a really
absolutely. Your people really want to connect with you. They want to ask you questions live. It gives you a really good opportunity to see what their pain points are, because then maybe you could create products for them, you could create ebooks for them, you could create a course for them. But I think it's just a really nice way to reward your audience as well. And as you said, any business could really do that. You could demonstrate something live that you normally just show them on a video. You could just have a free-for-all and just answer questions. And there is when I started doing the webinars 5 years ago, I pretty much could only use Instant Teleseminar, and now you can use Google Hangouts. There are a lot of free tools that you can use. And don't worry so much about the technical stuff, because probably your first one, there'll probably be no one on there. And your people will understand, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so now I wanted to talk a little bit about money blocks, which is obviously what you're sort of known for and what is your like point of genius. And I know for myself personally, like I did your course a couple of years ago. It's been nearly 2 years ago now, actually, which is amazing. And it's just like having those little shifts of, places where you're sort of realizing yourself, sabotaging yourself and things like that, because that's not kind of language I think I'd ever really heard before or thought about before. And being able to sort of get past that and recognize when you're doing that has been so beneficial to my business. And I know that particularly I think with women and with creative women, it's something that we all tend to do a lot. So do you want to just sort of explain a little bit around maybe what money blocks actually are and sort of that kind of premise, and maybe also some of the ones which are a bit more common to this kind of space?
Oh, absolutely. So money blocks, it's kind of hard to define, but I think most women have experienced some sort of resistance around earning money. And in the personal development space, it's really difficult to even admit that, because we're taught to be relentlessly positive, and you say positive affirmations and things will just happen for you. And actually what I found is for women that we have a lot of unacknowledged fears around money. It's not just as simple as, I want to be rich, or I want to win the lottery or something like that. It's like there are some really real fears that we have around money, whether that people are going to think you're greedy, that you shouldn't make money from helping people, that if you become rich, you'll become a bitch. There are a lot of different things. And what I find is that everyone's got their own flavour of fears and sabotage. And it does you a disservice if you kind of just go, no, of course I want to be rich, of course I want to make money, there's nothing holding me back. Because all of us have got something that is holding us back from the next level, myself included. Even though now I have a very successful business and make a lot more money, I still have fears and sabotages. So it's just about identifying what your flavour of sabotage is and what your particular money block is, so you can identify it when it comes up and when it stops you from being successful in your business and in your life. And I think in the blogging space, I've seen it a lot at blogging conferences where there's almost a bit of a taboo. It's like, are you going to monetize your blog? When are you going to monetize? And everyone's terrified about what their audience is going to say when they start to monetize or sell out. So that's a big fear, that if I ask for money from people, I'm being greedy, I'm being a sellout, I am disrespecting my audience, all that kind of stuff. And I think the blogging world really has to make an attitude shift around that it's okay to make money from blogging. It's okay to make money from helping people and improving their lives. And it's okay to create solutions for people that you charge for. And that I'm really passionate about bringing that message to the blogging world, because, most of people listening, you're doing a blog because most people want to quit their job. Or you want to make it a full-time concern. And so you have to explore some of the stuff that's holding you back from making money from your blog.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if it's because when sort of blogging first started, it was, 1,000 banners on every page or something, and you'd arrive and you go, ugh, gross. And whether it's remnants from that or whether it's from those real hard sell kind of tactics. But yeah, exactly. Everybody who's doing my course and who, I'd say majority of bloggers, if you're starting up a blog because you're passionate about it, wouldn't you prefer to do this thing that you're passionate about as your day job? And to be able to do that, you've got to make some money. So, you've got to kind of get past that. Oh, people are going to hate me, or I'm greedy, or whatever it is. There's lots of common ones. The greedy one is one for me. That always pops up. It's like whenever, you look at pricing or something like that, you go, oh no, you can't do that. People think you're being greedy. But, I think another common one for people is about, it goes sort of with the pricing and how to put a value on something that's so intangible. Yeah. So when people, I know a lot of bloggers, when they start doing sponsored posts, for example, they don't know what to charge for them, and they might charge like $50 for something that takes them a day to put together, which is just crazy. Do you have any tips for how people can sort of start to kind of I suppose, value what they're doing when it's what the end result isn't, a chair or something like that. Like, how do you, when you're playing in this online space, how do you kind of put a dollar value on that? Is that...
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes total sense. And I think you really have to understand that information can change people's lives. Let me give you a couple of examples. So say you're a mummy blogger who specializes in helping people organize their life, right? Like our friend Marissa Roberts from Beautifully Organized. Like she helps people take back time, and that is time that mums could use for pleasure, for spending more time with their kids, for working on their business. And so if you're saving people time, that is a valuable resource that they cannot get back. And it's okay to charge for that. Say, for example, you're doing something in the cooking space. You are creating time for people again that they can use in other ways. Say, for example, you're a beauty blogger. Now, this is the tricky one, right? Because you think, well, you might not be saving people time, but most of the time you are. But you're tapping into a need for people to want to have a more beautiful life, to feel better about themselves, to have confidence. And that can have ripple-on effects. If they're an entrepreneur, that can actually mean more sales and more business for them because they're more confident. If they're an employee, there are actually studies that have shown that people who wear more makeup and look beautiful actually earn more money. So you have to think about what it is that you offer and how does that impact your clients' lives. Does it save them time? Does it save them money? Does it help them create other things in their life? And it's okay to charge for that because they're coming to you for a solution. And a lot of bloggers too say things like, well, why would I charge when people can find that information for free? Or, this is easy, everyone knows it. And the truth is that it's not easy for everybody. What's easy for you is difficult for somebody else and they don't know how to do it. And yes, you can find a lot of things online for free, but people want to pay for one solution, for it to be put somewhere for them, to make it easy for them, because they don't always have the time or the expertise or the know-how to go out and search it for themselves. Some people will. Some people will just be like, oh, I'll just find that for free. But your ideal client, they'll be someone who wants to get it from you. And don't worry if there's a million people doing what you do. There's only you doing it in your way, and you build your audience of people who want to hear it from you. If you quit just because other people are doing your business, oh my God, there's a million people doing everything. Anything. There's nothing new ever. But so don't worry about that. Just know that people are going to just want to hear it from you, or other people don't resonate with them. So that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like if people quit because there was then they're not the only beauty blogger in the world, it would mean that there'd only be one pizza restaurant in the world and only one clothing store, and it's every person sort of brings their own brand and their own flavour to things, and people are either going to resonate with you or they're not. So
exactly,
I love
which
that.
is why you shouldn't be everything to everyone, because embrace who you are and in your imperfections as you see them, because some people will need exactly that solution. But if you're trying to be too generic, no one will really want what you are offering.
Yeah, it's better to be someone's shot of whiskey than everyone's cup of tea, as my slightly alcoholic sounding nanas used to say.
I like it. It's true though, right? It's true.
Yeah. So just one last thing I wanted to ask you, and that was around, so we've talked about money blocks, and so now if that's sort of resonating with people and people are going, oh, I do get this little voice in the back of my head saying, oh, no, you shouldn't do that. People are going to think you're greedy, or people aren't going to like you if you're, start becoming successful. Do you have sort of like a tip or a strategy or something that people can do to sort of help them to sort of get past that money block or to, lessen it?
Absolutely. It's a mantra that I use, and it's I serve, I deserve. It's to understand that there's a two-way relationship here. Your blog might be completely free. Most people's blogs are completely free. So you think that's how you serve your audience. And then for a few people who want to go to the next stage with you, here's this thing, and that's going to be charged. And hey, if you want to work with me one-on-one, that's even more expensive. So it's okay because there's already a flow. If you just give and give and give and give and give and not receive anything in return, you're just blocking the flow. So you have to know that the free information that you give out in your blog is incredibly valuable for people. You've already completed that circle. You know, you've given and people have read it. And it's okay for you to receive in return for some of your higher cost products. So that mantra, I serve, I deserve, can really help you if you're about to put a price on something that you do and you're feeling really scared about it. Just put it on a post-it on your computer. That's what I always do. And every time I feel that coming up, I just sit there and go, no, I deserve to make money from this because it's helping people.
Beautiful. That's lovely.
Simple.
I think I have that posted on my computer at work, actually.
Yeah, it does make a difference.
Yeah. Lovely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. There's been lots of great little nuggets in there, and I know that the bloggers watching this are going to get so much out of it. And if anyone wants to come and check out any of the other stuff that you're doing, as I said, you've got 2 books and a Lucky Bitch Money boot camp. Just have to head over to luckybitch.com and check it out. But thank you again, and it's been lovely chatting to you.
Thanks.